What's up guys, Bluddshed here, bringing you a Diablo 3 tips and tricks video for seasonal pushing, non-season pushing, just pushing, okay? You don't see a lot of these kind of videos because they're incredibly difficult to even make. There's so many different variables when it comes to greater rifts, mob type, maps, pylons. Certain classes function differently against different affixes. For instance, if a mob puts up a wall, multi-shot cannot shoot through the wall, but Wave of Light can shoot over the wall. So it just kind of depends on the class, what spec you're using. There's so many, I'm just gonna do my best to try to make sense of all this and to give you some general tips and tricks so maybe that you can take that information and use it in your game. All right, so to start off, you wanna make sure you go to Diablo Fans and get a really good build. You wanna make sure you match up stat priorities and get the right things for pushing, specifically for pushing. So you would type in like Witch Doctor, Helltooth push build, or Arakir Firebat push build. Again, I'll put my master link in the description for all that stuff if you need some push builds or whatever, but definitely check out Diablo Fans. There's a lot of amazing creators out there. So get a good build and then farm a lot of keys, okay? So you want to farm a lot of keys. This is non-season, so I have tons of keys. But you would farm, like, for a long grinding session, 60 to 100 keys for fishing, right? What does fishing mean, Blood? Well, what does fishing mean? You only need 30 keys if you're just going to do a light push, by the way. Like a couple of good maps, you'll get out of 30 keys. So 30 to 100 keys, depending on how ham you want to go. What is fishing? Fishing is you go into a greater rift, you open it up, and you try to find a favorable map, mob type, and things like that. So let's just open one real quick. This is a bad map. So what are good maps? Okay, good maps typically are big open areas, like open maps, because there's tons of density and all the density comes at you from different angles. So it's easy to group up tons of mobs, and if you get a good mob type, it makes it even better. And in addition, like once you kill the density and you have an elite at like 30% health, like always, or 20% health, you don't want to just sit there and kill that elite. It's super inefficient. We need more mobs. So then you would take that elite, drag it to more density, which is why having a nice open map is amazing. More density over here, you're killing or dragging. So an S tier, a top tier map would be a big, wide open area. We're gonna cover some of what they look like, and I'll probably go to the different areas in the game to show you what the tile set looks like. Big open area would be a top tier map type. A linear area, like Stinging Winds, or like this particular zone that we're in right now, would be like a B tier area, right? This would be, if you got this on your second level, it wouldn't be bad because it's big enough to kind of drag. This area right here is a little choke pointy. Maybe I would kill it before I drag it. But like this size right here is a pretty decent sized area. But I'll talk about the top 3 map types. Okay, so number 1 map in the game is the forest map. I think it's the Northern Highlands tile set, kind of. So it's like this. It's really green, foresty, this kind of stuff. You've seen this before. You've seen this in a lot of clears, actually. Maybe I'll link some highlights below with these clears in it. Probably the best Greater Rift tile set in the game. You can actually get 90%, 100% progressions on one map. This is an awesome place to go. I would say for me, the second place, I mean in no particular order, would be Battlefields, okay? Battlefields, we call it Battlefields because Battlefields of Eternity, it looks like this map type, right? So it's, let's actually open it up a little bit. So once you spawn in, get past all this stuff, it opens up tremendously and you have like this big, wide open area, but you'll recognize it from the color palette. It has these kind of tones right here and things like that. That would be actually my favorite. This and the forest are 1 and 2. Another god tier map, which used to be better, not so much anymore. It's hard to get a really good one, but this is definitely one that you would definitely check. This is the Silver Spire. You've seen this Greater Rift layout where there's like multi-chambers. You go in here and there's big rooms and you can kill and drag a little bit easier. Sometimes the layout's really bad, but this is actually pretty much how it looks. Then you drag it to the second little chamber. Up here, you have one chamber, another chamber down here. And same concept. You need open areas, easy to drag. And for instance, with the Firebird set, you pretty much have to drag the elite. Otherwise, you lose your damage and survivability bonus. Another good tile set would be the Ariat's Crater. I believe that's in Act 3, somewhere like that. Like this one. If you've seen this type of set, it can be really good. You can actually pull, and there's like mini rooms here, and then you kind of pull down here, and then there's more areas like this, right? And then like I'm gonna get killed on this video. Yeah, this actually, you've seen this before. This is really good as well. It can pop off. This is my least favorite of the three. I don't know why. I feel like I can just miss things, and there it is, of course. I could miss certain things in this map, and we'll get into Pylon spawnage and why I don't like this one as much. But this would be like top tier maps, just open areas, lots of density, easy to pull and drag. And the ultimate goal is for you to pull. Let's actually show that right here, okay? The ultimate goal is to actually pull 3-4 elites through the rift, and then boom, the RNG gods give you a conduit, and then you have a conduit with 4 elites, your progression skyrockets, god tier rift, right? So you want to be able to survive, you want to be able to kill density, and drag to pylons to get insane progression. And again, we're going to get into pylons later. I just want to go through map types so you know the first floor should be an open map. So the next thing you want to look for is mob type. Well, Bloodshed, how do I know what mobs are good, man? There's like a million mobs in the game. I'm going to bring up this thing called Warpath, and it's a link I'll put in the description below for you guys. And oh, can it show me the mobs? There we go. That's cool. It's Warpath, right? So you can actually organize it by progression. And if you want to go super Diablo, right? You can actually memorize all the things. So progression orb gives you 7.5 progression. Executioners have the highest progression out of any mob. Mallet Lords second. So one common theme among the top mobs that give you the most, look how big Maggot Broods are. Like they're huge, right? So if you see something big, there's a good chance it's going to give you big progression, but it's going to have more health. It's going to be harder to kill. One tip about Maggot Broods is Maggot Broods shake and shimmy, and they spawn adds. Those adds are great for area damage classes, for getting procs and killing enemies. So Maggot Broods are really good. Horn Chargers are like death, man. They have a lot of health and they charge you. So some classes it doesn't matter. Some classes it might be really challenging against. I know on my Wave of Light Monk, I can dash the last second or outplay them, manipulate them a little bit. But if I get hit, I'm dead. Like they're just gonna clip me. They're gonna knock me into the sky. I'm dead. Hulks, I love this. I call these Unburied. I think there's a mob called Unburied, but there's a Golgors down here. Oh, my camera's in the way. Okay, so. Here's what a Golgor looks like. Golgors are great. They're not too threatening. They just have a melee attack. As to where the Bogans have like a dash, they can actually kill you. Golgors are great. Death Maidens are the spinny ones. Like absolutely death to like impale demon hunters or any kind of melee. Does so much damage when you're up close. But if you're a multi-shot demon hunter, what do you care? You stay back, you let it rip, you know? So this kind of thing will come with time. These Hulks are amazing. They have a knockback, so they're pretty much a GG mob type for everybody. But if you're playing Witch Doctor Firebat, they actually have a knockback attack, and you're casting, you get hit, you're not casting anymore. You're casting, you get hit, you see, you get it, right? So it depends on the spec. A lot of these mob types depend on the spec, but there are some universally hated mobs that I'm sure we'll come across. Exorcists are the worst. They clap, shoot lightning at you. It even says right here, lightning physical, super savage. It also tells you the element type. So you can see one common theme about some of the best mobs in the game, or the highest progression mobs, they do physical damage. You can see why a lot of us stack a lot of physical damage on our gear. Some of the worst mobs in the game would be like ghosts. They have an unavoidable attack. They fly across the map. And they're just like really bad to get a lot of ghosts. Like there's no counterplay really with them. You can kind of they can kind of run away, and then their channeling will break and they have to go chase you again. But again, they can fly over the map a lot of times. It's hard to get away. A positive thing, if they're an elite ghost type, it's easy to drag them through the rift, and they might not do enough damage to kill you if there's only 1 or 3 of them. So it's one of the best mobs to follow, one of the worst mobs to get if you have a bunch of them as trash mobs. So you can see how different situations might talk about different things. If you get a Juggernaut affix, Juggernaut completely shuts down Bane of the Trapped. Juggernaut, if you don't know, makes them immune to crowd control. So your Bane of the Trap doesn't work, your Crispin Sentence if you're a Necromancer doesn't work. But if you're just doing damage and dragging them throughout the rift, you get a power later on, use the power to kill the Jug, problem solved. Wouldn't be a greater rift video without talking about MoonClan Impalers. So Impalers are savage, man. They don't even give you that much progression, as you can see, and they spawn in hordes a lot of the time, and they throw an almost unavoidable attack. Like ghosts have an unavoidable attack, so theirs isn't unavoidable, but it's damn near impossible to avoid all of them without doing meaningful damage in the process. Like you can kind of juke and jive and get away from them, but once you start standing still to DPS, unless you're a Demon Hunter, maybe you can kite, maybe. The animation a lot of times slows you down and you can get hit. You guys get it. We hate Impalers, so damn. They do a lot of damage. You definitely, if you're on hardcore and you see Impalers, I would just leave. If you see Ghosts, I would just leave. Another really annoying mob type is Lashers. It's like unavoidable damage. You're just standing there and you get hit with physical damage. You can't do anything about it. These tongue punchers gotta go, man. We're not gonna stand for this in 2018, right? These unavoidable damage. I think Blizzard commented on the past. They wanted us to get hit, so it's like a gear check. So it's like, you're not supposed to be here. You're here too early. It's like a barrier. But I don't like when there's no counterplay involved. A lot of archers can also be a bad thing if you get a lot of them and they're just constantly shooting you. I guess one of the goals for a lot of classes is to get non-threatening mobs, to group them up, AoE them down, and move on. You know, if you kill the elite pack with density, not only are you getting the density progress, you're also getting area damage procs off of each enemy attacking the elite. So you can actually shred an elite if it's in a lot of density. If you forget, you can just go to your sheet. It tells you right here, all attacks have a 20% chance to deal blank damage, depending on how much you put on your gear, to enemies within 10 yards. So it's a 10-yard radius. It's really small, but if you get them tightly compacted, decimation. I don't want to spend too long. Oh, Bogans, Tusk Bogans, ugh. Bogans in general, Boggets. You guys will get familiar with all these mob types. Spiders have pretty decent progression, and they're not too threatening. I like Toxic Lurkers. So Summoners, like Maggot Broods, summon enemies, and it's just free progression, more enemy, more density. You know, we get that bar filled up faster. So Summoners is another one to look out for. It's a really good one. But get familiar with this. Links will be in the description. So good gear, a lot of keys, good map types, open maps, easy to pull, drag, and good mob types. We're now going to talk about Pylon Mechanics. I know it's been a lot and I probably should have broke this into other videos, but damn it, we're going to do this in one take, okay? You can spawn up to 4 pylons in a greater rift, and it's based off progression, okay? You can actually get a pylon with no progression, not to be confusing, but it's possible. There's a small chance right when I walk in here, I can get a pylon. Typically 10 to 25% you're going to get a pylon spawn in an area where there's a potential spawn location. So not only do you want to remember what maps are good, what mob types are good, you want to remember, I'm going to do a load rift just for testing. You want to remember where the pylons spawn in any given map. That way you can not lose the location and things like that. So if you have a big open map, and it's easy to walk through, easy to drag, it's also hard to miss pylons, and that's the key for me. If there's a lot of corridors and things like that, you can actually not get a pylon. You can actually lose a pylon spawn. So you want to make sure you're careful and check everything. So we're going to go through, and I'm going to give you an example. So there's a potential we get one right away. If we don't, I'm not going to uncover the map and kind of show you. Let's see how much progression we can get. So from anywhere from like 10 to 25%, 10 to 30% progression, we can actually force a pylon in here. So you can see how much progression you have. We have 7% right now. Let's go ahead and push through. Kill some enemies, nice and slow. And you want to make sure you uncover everything. But if you're trying to get a pylon to spawn on this level, don't uncover it. So there's lots of ways. If you know what you're doing, like if you pay attention to your progress, so we have 18%, so there's a good chance we're gonna get a pylon. I would say if I get to 20% chance, it's almost guaranteed. So let's see. So you can see here's the end. I would actually lose this pylon up here if we get one. Let's go check. See? Boom. So there was a pylon. I would have lost that pylon had I not checked. And that's why I hate these freaking maps. And I only like open linear maps, right? So every 10 to about 25%, 10 to 30% progression, you have a chance to get a pylon. So if you know this, like let's say you're at the end of the rift, right? Like we know the end was right here. Before we actually killed this density, we could have actually just uncovered it beforehand, right? And then the game can't give us a pylon once we uncover the fog of war, so to speak. So, you know, a lot of times you'll fight through the rift, and then at the end of the rift, you're like, why did Blizzard put a pylon at the end of the rift? So you can actually prevent that by just pulling ahead, uncovering the area, and you can even zone into the next area so it doesn't spawn here, and then go back and kill, right? So this is small tactics that you can do. You don't want to do it every time, but you want to be aware that, damn, I actually haven't had a pylon in like maybe 5, 6, 7, 8%. Maybe I should go uncover this area so we don't have a potential pylon to spawn. So you can see how having this extra corridor RNG could actually make things more difficult and waste more time while you're scouting. Fortunately, this is a fast class, but not every class is fast. You know, they're just walking around. You're wasting a lot of time having to walk over here while dodging mobs. If you don't know, you can't get the same pylon twice in greater rifts. So there's like shield, power, conduit, speed, and channeling, right? So these things you can only get one of. You can't get multiple pylons. If I forget anything, I'm sorry. One thing I wanted to touch upon, I've used this tactic on stream, and I got my 105 or 104 clear this season 14, using it. So if I was on the first floor and you can see I discovered a pylon with literally no elites, no density over here, you're like, damn it, this is a waste, right? What you can do, since it's on the first floor, is save a little bit of density, at least save 1%, and then you can just go on with your business, right? And know in the back of your mind, I have a pylon, a power pylon on the first floor, and then you literally go back to town, right? When you're at 99% progression, or if you have an elite there, you can leave it at 3 or 4% progression, you know, and then you can go back through the rift, and you'll know, it might take a little bit of time, you'll know, boom, I have a power pylon for the Rift Guardian. So you want to think about the Rift Guardian right before you're about to spawn it. You can save something. You probably only want to save something on the first floor because it's super close, right? Or you might want to save it on the second floor if the first floor is really small like this, right? Be practical. If it's close, save it. I have a shield right here, super close. So I could have saved density on this floor, and then I have a shield on the Rift Guardian. So save pylons for the boss if possible. Save them on the first floor. You can always go back. You can't pop a pylon and then... I have NEMS. Okay. You can't pop a pylon. See, I have shield right now. And then go back to town. They prevented you from... See, it's gone. It clears it. You can't pop a pylon, then go back, then get the power and have all these pylon. You can't do it. You can run back the way you came. Like I could have popped a shield and go back this way, but you can't teleport out of the game. There was some people manipulating things, so Blizzard changed it. But you can't go backwards through here, so you can have a shield and then get the power, and then you have 2 pylons for the boss. So manipulating pylons, whether getting them not to spawn or to spawn, is super duper powerful. It's going to save you so much time and energy, and you're not going to be frustrated. You'll understand the mechanics, and when it happens to you, when you get a power at the end of the rift, you'll know it was your fault and not Blizzard's fault, right? So they should change it. This should never happen this way, but it is what it is. Hopefully this information helps you with pylons. One thing to note about Conduit Pylon, it hits, I believe, 5 to 10 enemies. So the Zappa Pylon, the lightning one, if your class doesn't deal really well with ads, you might want to kill some of the density before you pop the conduit. Like if there's tons of density everywhere, and you pop a conduit, it's gonna maybe never hit the elite. It's gonna kill these little scarabs, it's gonna kill the impaler, whatever. It might not even hit the elite. So if you can handle a little bit of density, I would recommend clearing it out a little bit before you pop the pylon, because it only hits about 5 to 10 per second. It's a lot, but you only get so long with 30 seconds or whatever. So I would definitely maximize the value, but you don't want to spend too much time. You got to make that judgment call for yourself. Just a little tidbit. That's just about it for pylons. Don't forget that speed increases your movement speed, knocks enemies back. It's kind of like a illusory boots effect, and it increases your attack speed by 30%. So Speed Pylon is really good for attack-based classes. I mean, you're going to burn through a resource really quick, but if you have really good resource regeneration, like let's say you're a Hoda Barb, you're just going to dominate with something like that. So just keep that in mind. You're going to get that attack speed buff on your character. It's really important. Or stacking Stricken, that'll stack Stricken like a madman. All right, so to recap, good gear, a lot of keys, good map types, big open maps, linear areas, good mob types, right? Non-deadly ranged mobs. You want like non-threatening melee mobs that you can kind of kite and pull around and, you know, mold to your rift. You want to make good use of pylons, manipulate them to your advantage as well, bend them to your will. And finally, you get the Rift Guardian to spawn. Yeah, all that trouble, man. And now we're here on the Rift Guardian spawn. Let me try to maybe zoom in a little bit more, okay? I know it looks a little blurry, I apologize. So the best Rift Guardians are the ones that spawn ads. Now there's a lot of benefits to this. If they spawn ads, they have lower health than other Rift Guardians. So that's amazing, right? And in addition, the ads, when you kill them, spawn Oculus rings. I'll put a follower guide in the description if I remember. Bluddshed YouTube follower guide. They spawn little Oculus ring circles. That gives you 85% multiplicative power. You stand in the circle. Now you're doing 85 damage to the Rift Guardian because they had an ad. In addition to them spawning Oculus rings, you can proc area damage off the ads onto the Rift Guardian and other ads. So that's awesome. If you're a witch doctor, you can haunt the ads to get your resource back. You know, ads spawn different things. So a Rift Guardian with ads is typically amazing. GG mob type. Something like Vesalius is really super duper annoying because he teleports, runs away, shoots you, leaves. He's dodging all the time. He's not. It says, what does it say? It's very hard to dodge a spray. Whatever. As Vesalius is annoying. Hamlin is a good idea of something that spawns ads. That is a GG Guardian because he spawns a tremendous amount of little rat mobs. We have a picture. Okay. He spawns a tremendous amount of these little rats, and you can do the Oculus Ring, the area damage, and he has lower health. And, you know, it's like famous for EP Monk, old EP Monk. If you get EP on one rat, it triggers on another rat, and it just blows up Hamlin instantly. It's like his kryptonite, okay? So Hamlin is a good example of that. Now, he does trap you in a bubble. So if you're a class that can't be trapped in close quarters on hardcore or whatever, it might be a dangerous position for certain classes. So although he's a GG mob type to most of us, make sure you're familiar with your class. And damn, will I die if I'm trapped in with this rat, you know? So an example of an annoying mob would be Perdition. Perdition is the hand blades assassin mob that killed me in my hardcore video. He instantly teleports to you if you try to run away. He does high physical damage. He's basically like an assassin. He's pretty crazy, man. This guy would be the example of a bad one because he just literally, you can't do anything. He's a teleport charge attack and it just destroys you, okay? But some classes that can take high physical hits, laugh at him, right? I know on my wizard, I didn't have any problems because wizards have a lot of tankiness. It was not a big deal, but on my witch doctor, necromancer, forget about it. Wave of Light monk, forget about it, you're dead, right? So a lot of these Rift Guardians, Saxtrus is a good idea of a GG Rift Guardian because of the ad spawns, lower health, etc. A lot of this stuff you'll learn over time, and you can go on the wiki. I'll try to remember to put links for everything down below in the description. You'll just remember over time. You'll remember that Blighter is a tough SOB, and he'll put you in the dirt, right? High poison damage, high physical attack. I think it even tells you all the stuff about him if you really want to learn. In combat, he gains the following abilities and can still use normal melee attacks for average physical damage. Just his punch scares me. So, Blighter's a bad one. You'll learn right away, you know what I mean? What's good and what's bad. Cold Snap's another famously bad one. If you get if you get more than 20 yards out of range or whatever it is, he'll charge you and do tremendous amounts of damage. So you either want to be super far away or you want to be right up close, typically. If you run away mid-range, he'll charge you. So Cold Snap's a pain in the butt as well. They talk about his charge here. identical to that of Oppressors, but with a greater range. So it doesn't actually say the range. I believe it's like 20 yards or so. So yeah, learn your Rift Guardians, and over time, it'll just get easier and easier. If you're remembering where the pylons spawn, you're remembering what mob types are good, what map types are good, what Rift Guardians are good for your specific class, and things like that. It'll just get easier over time. Do you think we'll have a time to clear this rift? That's the real question. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. Make sure to follow me up above at twitch.tv/bloodshed. I stream there 6 days a week. We're gonna be pushing, man. Tomorrow, we got like a 105 this season. I'm gonna be pushing higher. We're probably in the 107 range with a good map, depending. And it's early season. It's only been like less than 2 weeks or whatever into the season. Has it been? Basic math, something like that. 2 weeks or so. We'll be pushing, and you can check me live. You can ask me questions live. I stream there all the time. I get questions, and then I make videos based on those questions. So this is a response to the millions, the thousands of questions, maybe not millions, but hundreds of questions I've got on Greater Rifts. Hopefully this helps you guys out. If you have any other, tips and tricks, put them in the comments below. People read the comments. People are like, oh shit, yes, this helps me. Thank you. If this video would be an hour long, or I would still forget something. There's so many variables when it comes to Greater Rifts. There's so many different situations that you can actually outplay the content or survive somehow. Some people might actually complete maps with impalers. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can kill jugs. If you get a pylon or with enough density, the area damage can actually kill the juggernaut really fast. There's a lot of situations where even though you're not supposed to beat Perdition, you might still beat him. So there's even a tiny window you can juke his dash. There's a tiny window. So you might get lucky. You might be that one. Miracles happen every day, people. My name's the Bloodshed, and I'm out of here. Big shout out to the patrons and the Twitch subs. You guys allow me to be here every day doing what I do. Peace.